Yeah.
This is for you, Miss Harris. So you know the desk, that really big one in the library?
Yeah.
Do you think is there a way you can like downsize that?
I don't know. We'd have to look at how it was built. And my question is it have they carpeted around it? Which is not a problem. I'm pretty happy to get new carpet. But yeah, we'd have to take a look at it and see if it can be taken apart or, yeah, because it is kind of big, isn't it? Read?
Uh, oh. What exactly like are ebooks, Miss Harris?
Electronic books or any kind of, just take a print book and you put it in some sort of form that you can read off of your phone or off of a Chromebook or any other computer. There's audio books as well that are in those formats. You can listen to them.
How would you define reading?
Read, record.
I am on my phone.
Oh, you're not. Video record.
There's some point of intaking some kind of text and then processing it in some way. So for me, I would assume that there's some kind of cognitive activity happening, like you're thinking about what's in front of you, whether you're reading a cereal box, a piece of art, landscape, a textbook. The reader is processing something or making connections or doing something to make meaning for that text. Yes, ma'am.
So this question is for both of you. Do you think independent reading is important? If so, why?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's research-based answer to that in terms of it builds, vocabulary, it builds experience, it builds understanding of other topics, yes. So there's that, and just as a personal answer, I think it just enhances who you are because you can understand someone else's experience.
You can put, there are
Or
places.
put your own experience,
I say-
like reflect on your own experiences and see how other people process those same things.
I grew up in a small town very similar to Hayworth, and so, and back in the day, we didn't travel so much. And so, the first time I ever traveled was through books. I could see other people's viewpoints, even other countries. In fact, I can remember there was a biography about when Queen Elizabeth II was a little girl, and I was so fascinated. I must have read that biography 5, 6, 7 times. And who knew that I would grow up to actually go to England many times? But probably the seeds of that travel were through those books, through those initial reading. And there are things I will never be. I will never be an astronaut. I will never be a black person. I will never be handicapped. Well, I could be handicapped, but those are all experiences I can have just by reading somebody else's words and do that.
This is for you, sir. Do you feel that there is one genre in the library that surpasses more than the other genres?
Do you mean that I have more of it or that's more popular?
More popular.
Some of our reading goes by trends. Like, we've had the vampire trend, and then there was the fairy trend, and so sometimes there are trends. There's been the dystopian trend recently, and so when those trends come along, kids tend to be looking for stuff. I really liked this. Have you got something like that? And so I'll sort of follow those trends. It tends to diverge among guys and girls. Guys tend to like more action, sport, sometimes mystery things, whereas girls tend to like things that are more relationship based or like I call them the tragedy of the week type thing. Some terrible thing has happened to this person and they have to deal with it. So that girls tend to go more relational. But that's kind of a generality. I'm quite a science fiction and dystopian reader myself, so we tend to have a lot of those because I'm the buyer. But so we tend to be well represented there as well. But yeah, and I'm always open to if somebody comes along and says, "Hey, we need this book," I will instantly go out and buy it. Because if one person says they want it, then that's feedback for me.
This is for you, Mrs. Dummer. So we're trying to renovate the library, and a lot of people say they want like a cafe, so we were trying to have like a Keurig or something in there. But the problem is that we don't know who would replace all the K-cups and like the water and the milk and all the creamer and stuff. So do you think like student council would be able to like find that and replacing it and stuff?
That's a possibility. I would ask student council. Yeah, I'm not a class sponsor anymore, so I don't participate in that. But it's a possibility. I think resistance might come in the form of it's messy, it can damage computers, it can damage books, it
I
can
was gonna say
damage.
that. It's not gonna be me.
I will
I'm with
say
you.
that.
Let's have coffee.
I mean, will admit my coffee addiction. Like, I am in full support of books and coffee and them being joined in forces. However, from experience, there's generally a mess involved.
Which leads to
That's
the
why
history.
we can't have nice things.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to. I've picked up more than my fair share of leftover stuff that irritates me. And then it gets in the way, and then it's, do you want some of this? And then we spend 15 minutes talking about which creamer you're putting in your coffee and you're not reading. So, I have concerns. I have practical concerns.
I actually am going to be very interested in your research about coffee.
Yeah.
Because I actually wanted to do it a few years ago, and the library aide was not in favor. And so, because I'm not there all the time, I thought, I'm not gonna push this. If she does not wanna do it and she's hostile to the idea, then that's not good. But Mrs. Reinitz is retiring at the end of this year. So this is your moment. Okay, there are a couple of things I have found out though. Number one, you're right to think, can there be another group to run it? And my thought was, what about an East class that could do it as a business? Because then you could make it a whole, where do we get our
Yes.
supplies? Is it legal? Can you serve food and drink in the library and compete with the cafeteria? Are we? Because I know there are certain things we're not allowed to have in vending machines anymore. So we need to find out.
I wonder if caffeine is on that list,
I know.
honestly,
We
like
gotta find
percent
out.
of caffeine. And then you would have a consistent individual to man the station.
Right.
To kind of be in charge and say,
Yeah,
this
who's
is where
gonna-
that goes, this is the trash,
And
this
I
is,
haven't had so much problem with drinks in the library as I have with wrappers, candy wrappers, potato chip wrappers. We find those in the books, just sitting, on top of the books. But I've never found spills or coffee to be a problem.
Lots of questions, yeah.
This one's for Ms. Harris. How many genders do you feel are important to children's literacy and why?
Genders or genres?
Genre, sorry.
I think as many as you want out there. One of the trends that's been happening in the last 5 years is genre blending. And I think it really kind of, well, I didn't start with, but the one I think of immediately are the Twilight series. Because that was sort of your supernatural, vampire, spooky, combined with romance. And so lots of places do that now. You'll have an outer space and a romance, or a science fiction and a western, or it's bleeding over into the movies too. If you start thinking of movies that have two, so those are some. But yeah, I'm open to any genre anyone wants to read.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is for you, Ms. Berber. Would you be open to the idea for changing and designing your own to help readers?
Yes, actually, I just looked at another teacher's ordering desks or tables and chairs, which I think is cool. My roadblock in that is that I also teach the Heartland class, and it will be the first time that I'm going to teach that dual credit class. I need to really get my mind around what that means and what that's going to look like, since I haven't taught it before. So I need to understand what Heartland expects of me and what I expect of those students. And so I don't know exactly which space arrangement is most conducive to that course. So I have to think of 2 hours of my day will involve that. So is it flexible enough to switch between things? We definitely, move and clump and cluster our kind of traditional desks as needed. So for the every day moving things around, I'm good for that. For an overall, I'm gonna have to see what Heartland brings me in terms of classroom structures.
I would say Mrs. Bremer has some built-in cabinetry too that would be hard to kind of maneuver around.
Yes, that's true. I do have those two big tables that are left over from when I had a bank of computers on that wall, and those could definitely be used as more of a centerpiece in there. You know, like we could move desks back and move tables. I mean, I'm up for, hey, this unit requires XYZ arrangement, let's do it. So, yes.
Flexibility
with
with Heartland in mind.
Right. With other information, yes.
This is for both of you, but what issues do you see in IR with students?
People reading Spark Notes instead of the real book. People attempting to read the same book in multiple quarters, so they don't have to read as much. People reading books that are like they're not stretching their reading level, which I understand that can have its moment. Like I certainly enjoy some YA books that are obviously below my actual reading level, but I can appreciate them. But my concern is that they're taking the path of least resistance as opposed to challenging themselves a little bit. But I'm still excited that
getting outside their comfort zone.
yes, all the books are in one type of genre, or which again you can fall in love with, you know, a series, and that's cool too. But and we've changed the projects at the end because we were getting a lot of poorly made things. That, well, and a lot of them were Animotos, so people were using the template and throwing in some of their own words. So I wasn't seeing students processing, thinking about their projects. I was just seeing them throwing something together for the end. But we've tweaked that already, and I've seen some really great projects for this quarter. So.
And what I've seen in the library is people coming in and either A, trying to reread something they've already read, or the most annoying thing to me is people that walk in and say, and I'm trying to figure out, what is it you want to read? What kind of thing are you looking for? And their answer is something short. I'm like, seriously? Wouldn't you rather have something you're going to enjoy? You gotta read it anyway. You gotta read something. Is your only criteria short? Short and miserable, or maybe longer and actually enjoyable? You know, work with me here.
Oh,
Let me help you
sorry.
find something.
Yes, I have a question. Is someone going to send me the transcript of what we're doing right here? Because this will help me. I won't remember all the things that we've said, but
He's recording it. It'll be on my YouTube. I'll send you the link.
awesome. Because I want to remember things like maybe I need to front load the let's go pick a book,
Yeah.
or the spend some more time first quarter talking about quality production in that
Or what-
project at the
Kids that
end.
won't even come to me and ask for help. They just wander around the shelves as if something magical is going to jump off into their hands. You know, you've got the expert in the room. Why not use her? Why not pick my brain and say, look, here's what I like. You know, I want it to have aliens. I want it to have this. I want it to have that. And Mrs. Barber says it has to have this too. You know?
Or persisting with a book. They're like, nah, I read the first couple chapters. I really don't like that. Well, I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to develop an appreciation for a book. So those have been the things that I've been a little frustrated with. Yes, sir.
This question's for Ms. Harris. What are you trying to do to promote / encourage reading?
Oh, well.
Every single thing she
yeah.
does.
But I feel like sometimes, especially this past year, because we had a redesign over at the grade school, I was really focused on that. So I feel like it's the high school's turn. So I'm really glad you guys are working on
Good.
this, because, you know, not only is it the high school's turn, but with Mrs. Reinitz leaving and somebody new coming in, I'm going to be able to sort of work that up. But one of my favorite things to do is displays. And I want to figure out a way to do more displays, because like in any store, you notice what's up on display. Either face out on a shelf, so that's one of the things we've tried to do, is put so many things face out, because that's what you pick up. What can I put right in your path that you'll see? You know, new books are always on that big display shelf, but where else can I put displays, posters, signs? Last night I even printed I have a Pinterest board, and I printed out a bunch of stuff about what are some of the celebrations we could do during the year, because there's like Banned Book Week and Teen Read Week and Poetry Month and art. How can we maybe incorporate some of those celebration type things into the library?
And the high school's having a redesign in terms of schedule next year, so that advisory kind of homeroom time won't be in the middle of the day. It'll be at the end of the day, and there'll be a variety of things for people to choose to do, or be encouraged to do. And one of the ideas was a book club. Like, it definitely makes an impact when you are sharing a text with someone, you're talking about it, and oh, you know, how do you feel? You know, asking each other questions.